Hey, what's good? What is capitalism? Have you ever actually looked at the definition of it to understand what it really means? This video over on the Illustrate to Educate channel is entitled, What is Capitalism? Capitalism Explained, Pros and Cons of Capitalism. Before we get into it, remember to go to coconutjustice.com to get you some to practice capitalism and get you some clothes that I think would look good on you. Let's go. Illustrate to educate. Let's go get it. Go.
Hey, it's Dan Zimmerman. Welcome to Illustrate to
Hi,
Educate.
Dan Zimmerman.
Please like the video and subscribe to support more simple and objective videos on topics that matter.
Both of us. I have no idea what this
Have you ever wondered what capitalism is?
Organization
In this
is.
video, we're going to look at a simple explanation of capitalism, as well as the pros and cons. Capitalism is an economic system in which private individuals or businesses own and control the means of production, distribution, and exchange of goods and services. Under capitalism, the
Socialism is that, but run by the government. Super simple.
pursuit of profit and individual self-interest are the driving forces of the economy. In a capitalist system, individuals are free to own property, start businesses, and compete with one another in the market. Prices are determined by supply and demand, and profits are reinvested into the economy for further growth. The government's role in a capitalist system is to ensure a level playing field for all market participants, enforce contracts, and protect property rights. There are many different types of capitalism, including laissez-faire capitalism, which the government plays a minimal role, and welfare capitalism, where the government intervenes to provide a safety net for its citizens.
Well,
Next, let's look at some of the original thinkers on capitalism.
these guys, it seems like they're just giving us, yep, that's only a 4-minute long video. They're giving us the facts. That's it. There's no stories, no opinion, nothing, which is refreshing because that's what we need. And then laissez-faire is the Republicans, more of the Republican point of view. And then the, what do you call it? The welfare, that is the Democratic part. So yeah. And then what I've noticed is depending on how you grew up and who you know and who you talk to, that's what makes people's decision go one way or the other. Which is funny because the Christians who believe in the Bible and Jesus and all that good stuff, they are on the laissez-faire side of the argument. Whereas the pagans and the sinners and the trans people and the gay folks and everything, they want, not all of them, but you know what I'm saying. Like alternative lifestyle, the folks that have a tendency to be, whether or not they believe in God, whether they're trying to figure it out, whatever. Those folks have a tendency to be on the welfare side of things. Because if we have that much power to go around and dictate what the hell is happening around the world, we might as well dictate what the hell is happening here. And we need educated Americans. Some of you guys are ridiculous.
One of the most famous books on capitalism is The Wealth of Nations by Adam Smith, which was published in 1776. Smith argued that capitalism would lead to increased wealth and economic growth as individuals pursued their own self-interest and specialization in the production of goods and services.
You see, that sounds fantastic. Everything that they've been saying sounds fantastic. But the game is rigged.
Another important thinker on capitalism is Karl Marx, who wrote Das Kapital in 1867. Marx saw capitalism as a system that exploited workers.
Yeah, and that's what they do. We'll get back into it, but Karl Marx said that capitalism or a capitalist society will sell you the rope that you can hang them with. And so basically, what he was trying to say is, if you are just hardcore capitalistic and you don't worry about anything else that's happening, you're just selling, 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 and all you're after is that money. What he's saying is a capitalist will sell you everything you need to take over, whether it's take over the country or take over the company, whatever.
Concentrated wealth in the hands of a few capitalists. He argued that capitalism would eventually lead to its own downfall as workers became aware of their exploitation.
That's what we're
and
going through right
revolted
now.
against the capitalist class.
That's what we're going through right now. Artists have been living this life, the whole starving artist thing and blah blah blah. Well, that's because for the most part, the creativity comes. Come in here. Let's get close. We're about to learn. Don't send me 4-minute videos and challenge me not to make this shit half hour. Get in close. So some of the research that I have been doing, some of the videos that I've been watching, they explain, and some of the books that I've been reading too, but they explain how, life and people in general are just very repetitious. Life in general is it's a system. You wake up, or you're born, you live, and then you die. It's a system, or repetitive action. And so in these videos, they talk about how creativity comes from poor people because rich people don't really have to work too hard. Don't be mad at me. I'm not the one who ran the studies. I'm not the one who came up with the learning opportunity. But yeah, so because people that don't have anything are trying to get money, they're trying different creative ways and different creative things to do. And that's why you have painters and you have that starving artist thing. And for the most part, it's just because people that are trying to, be on their grind. And unfortunately, art, unless you want art from one specific person, art basically, I can't tell you how many times people said, oh, I'm going to let my husband take a crack at whether it be a website or a design of any way, shape, or form, right? So you can get art for cheap unless you're looking for a specific person, if that makes sense. And now we have AI and it's just disrupting the whole thing. But the point that I'm trying to make is in my studies, in my research, they talk about how creativity comes from the poor and the gatekeepers are the people with money, because now the people with money are the ones that are saying what's going to be made and what's not going to be made. And if you take a look at all these goofy movies and not Goofy, the cartoon character, but look at all these movies that are either, such and such part 6, part 7. And then you get things that just aren't. People are frustrated with Hollywood, because the content that they're creating seems to just be like repetitive, and it's just, it's super expensive. And then they're exploiting the artists, and then it's a slippery slope. But that's why democracies and keeping people from having too much money, therefore too much power to tell you what's going to be made or to tell you where culture is going to go, just because they can sprinkle some dollars over there, right? So that's one of the bad parts of doing this is whoever has the money basically dictates what the hell is happening, and whoever's in charge, they say winners get to tell history. It's easy to win when you have no challengers,
Let's look at the pros and cons of capitalism. Those who argue for capitalism say that it promotes innovation, entrepreneurship, and competition, which in turn leads to increased economic growth. They argue that this results in a higher standard of living for society as a whole.
But what happens here is something called crony capitalism. So, and everybody's heard this term. It's not what you know, it's who you know. That stuff is what gets in the way of capitalism actually being a sustainable business model, for the lack of a better term right now.
Next, they argue that capitalism allocates resources in the most efficient manner possible as the market.
That's bullshit. If you work in a corporation, you know, especially if you're a hard worker, you know that you get all this work, and then if you get a lazy person on the team, you have to do their work, and then when they get let go, you get restructured, and they might say, "Oh, you're a senior data analyst," and then you have to do twice as much work, and the money. I've been in situations where the money's just not. It's just not up to par with the amount of work that you're supposed to be doing, and there's a lot of folks out there that do a lot more work than their bosses do. I've been in this situation a lot. I'm doing all the work and the boss is just chilling, and it's not. I'm glad that they talked about people waking up. People do need to wake up, and there's a better way of doing it. Just straight up unadulterated greed is not going to work, and that's why we are here now. We have greedy capitalism is on full display 100% in this administration. Not just one person. Yeah, all those folks up there, they go and they get their friends, and then they complain about DEI and stuff like that. And all these folks are up there just because of who they know, not what they know.
Determines the prices of goods and services based on supply and demand, which they say ensures that resources are used in the most productive way possible. Supporters of capitalism also argue that it provides individuals with the freedom to choose what they produce, consume, and invest in, which allows people to pursue their own interests and maximize their potential. Lastly, they argue that capitalism creates jobs as businesses expand and new...
Right. They create a job, but then what happens is they start making you do more and more stuff. My lady's going through that right now. She got hired to do something, and every time someone gets let go, or every time something happens, she gets even more stuff. So when I get her at the end of the day, boy, she is a joy, because she's getting overworked.
Businesses are formed. This provides employment opportunities and contributes to the reduction of unemployment. Those on the other side of the debate argue that capitalism can lead to wealth and income inequality, as the rewards of economic growth may not be distributed evenly. They argue that this can result in some individuals or groups having a disproportionate amount of power and wealth. Next, they point out that capitalism may allow for the exploitation of workers, as businesses may pay low wages and offer poor working...
We're seeing that now. The capitalists that are in charge of the country right now are exploiting us. They threaten our jobs, and they threaten that we have to get used to getting paid less, because people from south of the border are coming for our jobs. Meanwhile, there's a lot of telecommuting jobs that make a lot of money, 6 figures and up. And they're doing it on the internet and all this stuff. But instead of coming to find Americans to do that job, American companies are going overseas and telecommuting with people overseas. And all of you guys wonder where all the jobs went.
Conditions in order to increase profits. Those against capitalism point that it can have negative environmental impacts, as businesses prioritize profits over environmental concerns. This can lead to pollution and the
Yep,
degradation
that's true too. You should see how people fill up these big ass boats with trash and they just go to the middle of absolutely nowhere and dump it. They do that with tanks and all kinds of old military stuff too. Um, you have to take care of the environment. It's where we live. It's not, that's not even trying to be like hella hardcore hippie or anything like that. You don't poop and pee in your pool. You don't poop and pee in your bed. You don't poop and pee. You don't put trash in your house. You don't do any of that stuff. But you do it outside and in the water, and you wonder why we need like filters and all that stuff on the refrigerators and filtered water and all this stuff.
of natural resources. Lastly, those against capitalism argue that it can be subject to economic cycles of booms and busts, which can lead to economic instability and uncertainty.
Yeah, so to me, capitalism is a really good process of a good way of conducting business. But making your government, making the rules that run your government off of only capitalism is not the way to go. I think honestly, and this is, let me know what you guys think. I think democracy, they're the, let's go the Democrats and the Republicans, right? I think we can have a world where capitalism is the way to go. But the people with money, let's just say, if you have a person with money that might be a little bit racist or whatever, do you think they're going to give that money to someone of color to make their movie or to make their animation or anything like that, to illustrate their book? If it's not the story that they want told, they don't relate, they don't get it, and so they probably won't invest in it. And then people are going to be like, oh, that's why you got to go out and you got to go. There's a lot of folks out there that don't know people that don't, that have money. Especially the amount of money that it takes to do something like illustrate a book, film a film, produce a film, make music. If it was cheap, people would do it. And we're starting to see that now, but that's for a different day. That's for a different discussion. Right now, I think what we should do, is the government focuses on Americans and making Americans educated and healthy and all that stuff. And then once Americans go through being educated, and I'm not talking, like history pisses people off and all these, teach them things that are irrefutable. Math, science. We teach them how to research. We teach them how to be scientists. We teach them how to be teachers. We teach them how to learn and how to research and how to be able to call people out on their bullshit. Different things like that. There's a lot of benefits to this, but we train them to be, instead of a cog in a factory, we teach them to be a scientist and a researcher, to go out there and like figure things out, like back in the day when they're making like inventing light bulbs and stuff like that, like that was a necessity. And there was a lot of importance put on education. And that's why people learn how to do all kinds of stuff, because of education. You have to be addicted to education in order to be someone who is going to go out and research and do things and figure things out to then improve technology. Happens all the time. But education is that first domino that we talked about when we first got on this video. I hope you liked this video. I hope you liked this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. Share it with each and every one of your friends. And if you want to come hang out with me and watch videos while I work on creative projects, hit that subscribe button. Then change the little bell icon thing so it says all. That way, every time I come out with something new, you'll be alerted. Don't forget to go to coconutjustice.com to get you some dope gear. And with that, I'm out.